This is how you do a Friday afternoon after a couple of busy weeks of working. We've both been flat out, but we've managed to escape for the weekend, get away from the madness of the city life, and come down to our pretty much local campground down here at the Mount Cotton Scouts KARRINGAL Scout Camp. Camped here, just purely bush camping. No facilities, or there is facilities at a couple of the campgrounds, but they're fairly run down, I believe. But we're down here in the peace and quiet. Just the birds, just nature. Just on sunset. Friday afternoon, done right. Not sitting at home on the lounge watching the news and all the other depressing stuff that you see on TV. So we're just going to kick back around the fire for tonight, and we'll get the drone up tomorrow and show you around the place. Used to be pretty much free reign down here. You could camp wherever you wanted to, but now they're controlling the public side of the camping because it is mostly for the scouts and other community groups and that type of thing. But there's still a couple of nice areas for the public to camp in. And we just found this little bit of paradise where we are for the next couple of nights down here. Haven't been to this spot before because the others are closed off. They're back to the scouts in control of them. But we're down here camped in amongst the trees where it's nice and peaceful. So we're just going to kick back for the night, sit around the fire, and we'll show you around a little bit tomorrow if we can. I'm not sure how far we can actually get now that a lot of the tracks are closed off and more for the scouts. Anyway, we'll see what we can find tomorrow. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Brandyscape Adventures. We're down here at Mount Cotton at the KARRINGAL Scout Camp, or camping on their grounds anyway. There's a couple of areas here for the public to camp on. So we come down for a quick escape out of the city for 2 nights. We've been down here quite a few times before, but a few changes have happened since then where you can't just camp where you want to anymore. You actually got to book in, which you always had to book. But now you've got a book and they're limited to 2 sites, Chatsworth and the Garden, I think they're called. And we're actually in the Chatsworth extension where the scouts are making a few extensions and opening areas up to the public a little bit more and limiting the access to some of the other areas that the scouts use. But great little spot this down here, tucked in around the bush. Very private. There's only a few other campers in the area. A little bit tight to get a caravan into, and I'll show you that track there a bit later. But there's plenty of spots for tent, swag camping. Camper trailers would be no problem at all, but you are limited to full-size caravans a little bit with the height and a few overhanging trees, which we had to do a little bit of pruning to get in here and zigged and zagged through the trees. Then it opens up. I believe this might be next door's property. A few wallabies getting around. There was plenty of movement in the bush last night. Must be plenty of goannas getting around, or bandicoots or something. Lots of little holes in the ground. But overall, this is our regular getaway just for a couple of nights to get out of the city. 15 minutes from home. And it's not far from the Sirame Winery. So if you're in that area, it's a great little spot to just get away without having to travel too far on a Friday afternoon. But we'll definitely be back here again. We've already been here half a dozen times. But those areas where we used to camp are now blocked off and we can't get access there anymore, so we can't show you around. But hopefully we can go for a drive around this side of the scout camp and give you a look at what's available. But basically we are limited to this campsite where we are, and to get in we had to zig and zag through all these trees up here yesterday afternoon with a little bit of pruning. But in the name of adventure, that's what we do to get into these spots. And we're tucked in this little corner here, nice and private, all to ourselves. Fully self-contained. Like I said before, there's no facilities. I think there is one old toilet block up in the main little Chatsworth campground, which is only enough room there for, I think, 4 campers or 4 sites. And same on the other side of the road up there at the garden, where there's only 4 sites and very small, in around the trees, not much room to manoeuvre caravans and that type of thing. Plus it's not overly level, not like this here. It's spot on for level, which is another reason that we had to escape the city and come on this little adventure, because we bought this caravan nearly a year ago and it's got the Cruise Master independent suspension on it, which has actually lifted the height of the van a little bit. And the previous owners had the annex and everything made up for it, but now it's been lifted about 2 or 3 inches. The new annex may need to be extended, so we're going to settle that up today, get a bit of time lapse of it. There might be a bit of head scratching because we've never had this annex on before, but I do believe it's not that hard. We'll get that on, measure up what we need to get added on to the bottom of the annex, or however they want to do it. We'll find somebody that can stitch it all up, and then that gets us ready and prepared for our big adventure coming up in September to Fraser Island, or K'gari, I believe it's called now. I don't know if we're allowed to say Fraser Island anymore, but it's always been Fraser Island to me for the last 30 years since I've been going. So I probably still will refer to it as Fraser Island, not so much K'gari. But anyway, that's us for the day. A few coffees around the fire this morning. Get a bit of motivation and we'll set this annex up. Oh, there you have it. We got the annex up. As you've seen in the time lapse, only took about maybe 2 minutes, but in the real world maybe nearly an hour for the first time. And what I was wanting to put it up for, thinking there was going to be a gap at the bottom here because the suspension has been lifted with the Cruise Master. It's about 2 inches higher than the standard Jayco suspension, but it actually sits pretty good. But I'll show you on the inside. Well, I probably can't now because the skirt's on to act as a windbreak. I think the passenger side tyre is in a bit of a hole, so it's probably sitting about an inch lower than where it would if you were parked up on 100% level ground. Now, this is what I was thinking. This corner here is pretty right for height, but over here those eyelets are about 3 or 4 inches off the ground. So real world, if you were parked up on a concrete slab in a caravan park, I think it probably would be about 75mm to 100mm off the ground. And I'll do some more closer measurements once we do get on 100% level ground. So this is the inside. Nearly 100% waterproof, a few little gaps just there. If the wind was blowing you might get a little bit of a dribble on the inside, but that's it. You might still get a bit of flap in the roof, but that's a quick fix with a pool noodle, but gives you plenty of room. stops that wind blowing through. I thought there might have been another little flap that comes up under there, but there's not. So you might still get a bit of breeze blow through, but that's easy fixed. And pretty handy, we can sort something out there if the weather got that bad. A little bit of breeze probably isn't going to be too bad anyway. So that's it. Annex set up. It gives you another room out of the weather. Not the sort of thing that you would set up if you were just going to be here for a night, but we've just done it purely to get it set up, see how it all goes together. Because the trip coming up to Fraser Island, anybody that's been up there knows what the wind's like, and if the wind blows for a week it's not very comfortable. So once we set this up, a little bit of effort to set her up, and we'll be out of the wind. Everything's fly screened, we'll be sitting in there nice and comfortable. Righto, we'll chop a bit of wood, get this fire cranked up for a Saturday afternoon bush camping at Mount Cotton. A couple of things to remember when you're chopping wood. PPE, got a nice sharp axe, well, sharp enough, it's a bit like a serrated knife, but that'll do for the little bit of wood we got to chop. You want eye protection, and you want foot protection, so that Chinese safety shoes, that'll do. I'm not going to get out of control with the axe too much and chop my foot off, well I hope not anyway. I'll hand the camera over to Mandy while I chop a bit of wood. I might have to go and get the big axe for some of these. Let's see how the little one goes. A bit like that. I think that'll do us for now. One thing I forgot is to keep the fluids up. Got to stay hydrated with all the manual labour. Good stoking, babe. Okay, so there you have it. The end of another weekend down here at Mount Cotton in the KARRINGAL Scout Camp. Great little spot for $15 a night per person. You're hard to go past and find a better bush camping site so close to home. 15 minutes for us and we'll be home. But we'll end the video here. Thanks very much for watching. And if you ever are in the area or looking for somewhere close to go, get on the website, Scouts Queensland I think it is, and look up under the public camping section there. You can book sites here. Like I said, $15 a night per person. You can't go wrong. There's nothing here, a couple of amenities, but if you like the peace and quiet, the birds in the trees, the wallabies hopping around, a few goannas and scrub turkeys, the peace and quiet, the serenity, it's just unbelievable. So we'll be back to our local campground. Until then, we'll see you on the next Brandy Scape adventure.